Hey everyone, today is Monday, January 27th, 2025. And on tonight's walking tour, we're going to be making a right on 42nd Street and 5th Avenue, walking over to Grand Central Station, making a left on Park Avenue, and walking up to the brand new 270 Park Avenue, which is the JPMorgan Chase office tower, which is a Class A office tower in the city. Now, JPMorgan Chase and Jamie Dimon recently made some announcements that they will be having their employees return to the office full-time for the full 5 days a week. This comes after the Wall Street megabank spent roughly $3 billion constructing their unbelievably gorgeous and iconic Class A office tower on Park Avenue, which takes up an entire city block. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see during the nighttime as we walk up Park Avenue. But for now, we're looking at the Stephen Schwarzman building. This is the New York Public Library. And just behind it, you have Bank of America Tower, CEO is Brian Moynihan, and you have the Salesforce Tower, publicly traded under the ticker symbol CRM. And the founder and CEO is Mark Benioff. And Mark Benioff just recently made some interesting posts on the X platform about DeepSeek, the new Chinese AI tool that came out, which is causing quite the volatility in the marketplace. However, I think that is being a little bit overstated, which we'll talk about during our live streams. For now, we're crossing 41st Street. This is the new Andaz Hotel. They recently renovated it, so it has a brand new lobby. And we're going to be making a right on the corner at 42nd Street. Now, once we make this right, you're going to see some pretty interesting views. You're going to have the iconic Chrysler building coming into view here. You can see the spire right there. And then looking up a little bit more, you have One Vanderbilt, which is a Class A office tower in the city, which is commanding some record price per rentable square foot. So we made this right on 42nd Street. If we were to continue to walk down just past the Chrysler building on 42nd, that'll bring you to something pretty interesting that's going on here in New York City. First off, it is the old Pfizer headquarters. So Pfizer had their New York City headquarters right on 42nd Street, just east of the Chrysler building. They have since vacated that building and moved to the Hudson Yards, just right next to BlackRock. BlackRock is at 50 Hudson Yards. But in its place, they're going to be taking down the building. It's going to span almost an entire city block, and it's going to be the largest office to residential conversion in not only the city's history, but in the history of the United States of America. Now, currently, as we talked about, very famous and well-known real estate developer Harry Macklowe currently holds the record for doing the largest office to residential conversion in the city that can be located down on 1 Wall Street, which is adjacent the very famous Trinity Church. We're now coming up on Madison Avenue. And here you're looking at Grand Central Station. This is one of my favorite views in the city. They're also going to take down that Hyatt Hotel, the Grand Hyatt, and build something new. But really standing under One Vanderbilt really gives you the size and the scope and the scale of this development. TD Securities also is in this building, as well as the retail bank, TD. And here we have the very front entrance of Grand Central Station. But if you see that bridge, that's Pershing Square. And that'll take vehicle traffic right to Grand Central Station to drop off passengers. But Grand Central Station and Pershing Square kind of reminds me of Bill Ackman's hedge fund, which just so happens to be named Pershing Square as well. One of my favorite things about Grand Central Station is the Campbell Bar, or the Campbell Apartments. If you're coming to New York City and you've never been here before and you're looking for something quite interesting to do, I'd highly, highly advise to come to Grand Central Station, stand right on the corner of 42nd Street and Vanderbilt Avenue, and make this left, right by the front entrance of One Vanderbilt. And if you walk about a third of the way down the block and you make a right, just in front of the main entrance at One Vanderbilt, that'll lead you to a stairwell. And if you use those stairs and go up, that'll bring you to the Campbell Bar or the Campbell Apartments. It's one of the most aesthetically pleasing bars in the city, in my opinion. It's right here. You can barely even see it. I walk past here every day. It's so easy to miss. But 15 Vanderbilt Avenue, the Campbell Apartment. Great place to come and get a drink after work. Even if you don't drink alcohol, I'd still recommend going in there. Just the architecture is really, really beautiful. So we're now on East 43rd Street. And if we walk all the way up, we'll hit right into 270 Park Avenue, which is the building in question for today's video. You also have the Roosevelt Hotel, which is served as one of the city's largest migrant intake centers. You can see a lot of the Metropolitan Police, the MTA Police. And right here on the corner of 44th Street in Vanderbilt, this is the Yale Club. Now, it's unfortunate that you have so much scaffolding all over the Yale Club, and it's been like that for a few years now. Hopefully, when the facade work is complete, they'll take it down. But this is a really beautiful building, so check it out right here on the corner of 44th and Vanderbilt is the very famous Yale Club. And to the right is the entrance to the MetLife building. And this is also another entrance that they've redone. So they've elevated the ceiling heights, really redid everything, and they've even added a Capitol Grill to the lobby as well. So they have a brand new restaurant, lots of dining. Really underwent impressive renovations. And here you have the Roosevelt Hotel, East 45th Street. This is probably one of the most broadcasted hotels in the city over the last 2 years since we had the migrant crisis. This is one of the largest intake centers right here. We'll go ahead and make this. Actually, we'll go down one more. We'll go down to 46th Street. And you'll notice all around Park Avenue and Vanderbilt Avenue, you'll have those Canter Fitzgerald signs all over the place. Now, Canter Fitzgerald's very famous here in the financial community, particularly in New York. The CEO is Howard Lutnick, and he is pretty much an incredible American success story. He took the company Canter Fitzgerald, which lost so many lives on September 11th, 2001. Their offices were on the top floors of the World Trade Center, and they lost more than 75% of the company in one day. And he made a promise to the families who were lost. He said, when we turn the company around, we're going to give a percentage of all of our profits to the victims. And he did that. And Howard Lutnick turned the company around entirely, Canter Fitzgerald, and took care of the families of his lost employees, which is really admirable. And now Canter Fitzgerald is a very, very successful presence here on Wall Street. And they are a very cryptocurrency focused institution. And they do a lot of work with Tether. So check him out, CEO Howard Lutnick, who is now a part of the Trump transition team. Okay, this is Park Avenue now, 46th Street and Park. You have the Hemsley building just off to your right. And many people who don't work in the industry or who are not from New York, they think a lot of the financial activity happens down in Lower Manhattan, on Wall Street and Broad Street near the New York Stock Exchange. However, the New York Stock Exchange is pretty much just like a TV studio now. There's not a whole lot of trading activity and market making activity that happens down there anymore. There still is some, but with the age of the internet and algorithms and quantitative firms, you don't really need to be on the physical street of Wall Street anymore. So many of the hedge funds, investment banks, family offices, proprietary trading shops and the like have actually migrated uptown to Park Avenue. So when I think of the financial district and Wall Street, I usually don't think of Lower Manhattan anymore. I think of right here on Park. For example, you have UBS off to your right. You also have JPMorgan Chase. And right on the corner of 47th Street and Park, we are now officially at the construction site of the city's newest Class A office tower, 270 Park Avenue, which spans an entire city block. This is going to be the New York City headquarters for JPMorgan Chase. And again, Jamie Dimon and company spent $3 billion constructing this absolutely gigantic building that stretches an entire city block right here on Park Avenue. And I'm sure many of JPMorgan Chase employers will be using this building as they return to the office. Now, in other news, you have one of the most powerful hedge funds and market makers on Wall Street. I'm sure you've heard of them, Citadel Securities. The CEO and founder is Ken Griffin. he started Citadel from his college dorm room at Harvard. And he asked permission from one of the dorms to install a satellite dish on the roof so he can get live stock quotes. That's how he started Citadel. Anyway, Citadel is in plans to build their own megastructure right here on Park Avenue as well, to rival that of Jamie Dimon's JPMorgan Chase 270 Park. They also have plans for a Miami office tower right off of Brickell Avenue for Citadel. So there's definitely a lot of investment going into commercial real estate and office. So one of the things I like to live by as we give a full-on shot of 270 Park is something I like to call follow the money. So there's been many pundits and people in the news saying that office is dead in the city. You know, the city is never going to recover. It's going to be dead because of remote work. But then why would Jamie Dimon be spending $3 billion to construct a new office tower, and why would Citadel also be investing, probably to the tune of multiple billions of dollars, to build their own office tower in New York City? So my view is that you're probably going to have an exact 180 of what people expected, right? Especially now with this current administration. Trump has signed an executive order bringing back all federal employees to the office. And look at the transition team, the Trump transition team, right? Look at Trump's advisors. Elon Musk, very, very against work from home. So I think the corporate entities, particularly big tech, Wall Street, are going to adopt a major, major return to office, and probably even be a little bit tighter on their dress policy. Anyway, as we're looking up Park Avenue, you'll see one of my favorite buildings in the city. This is 432 Park Avenue, and it was developed by Harry Macklow and the CIM Group. And it took many, many years to build that building. And Harry Macklow had to buy out the Drake Hotel, which once stood where 432 Park Avenue is standing right now. And it took him many, many years to assemble the necessary air rights to be able to build that tall. Now, at the top of the building is a multiple-ton mass damper, which acts as a counterbalance for the wind. And if you see those floors that are all lit up, there's like 2 floors every so often in the building that are lit up in bright white. Those are actually floors dedicated to allow wind to pass through the tower so it doesn't fall over. So it's really an architectural and engineering marvel, a lot of these super tall skyscrapers in New York City. So you have some of the floors that are completely opened to allow wind to pass through, and then you have the mass damper at the top that'll act as a counterbalance to the wind. Now, this is a very exciting project right here. This is the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, which is being converted into residential units. So pretty soon you'll be able to buy a unit right here in the Waldorf Astoria that's gone under extensive construction. Now, my favorite office tower in all New York City is just off to the right. It is called the Seagram building. And one of the reasons why I like it so much is because they've developed the building to sit a little bit further back from the street. So in the summer, it's very, very nice to kind of sit by the two fountains there, have lunch, and kind of take in the views from the city.
Oh, does that mean you report?
Now on the corner of 51st Street and Park. This is Mutual of America, as well as Raymond James. You have private equity giant Blackstone just adjacent here on the easternmost side of Park Avenue and 51st. And of course, they sit right next to my favorite building, which is the Seagram building. This is 350 Park. This is also an office for Citadel. There it is. Right across the street, you can see those two fountains. And you'll notice how the building is set back a little bit. This is 375 Park Avenue. The Seagram building.
I still feel so guilty about that.
Now, as we head towards 59th Street, we're going to run into what's currently the most eco-friendly office tower in the city, arguably the world. It is 425 Park, which is right here. If you want to watch an interesting video on that building, just type in 425 Park and then Bloomberg. And Bloomberg's done a special on that building. It's very, very cool. And that is the home to Citadel as well. And that's kind of where the office market is moving. The commercial real estate market in New York is doing exceptionally well at the higher end of the market. So Class A office towers such as 425 Park, 1 Vanderbilt, a lot of the office towers at the Hudson Yards, like 50 Hudson Yards, and then Brookfield Properties. What else? You have Blackstone controlling 1 Manhattan West and 2 Manhattan West. And then, of course, we have Penn 2, which is a new office tower by Vornado, which sits just on top of the Long Island Railroad and Penn Station, with a pretty nice new entrance to Madison Square Garden. Obviously, the CEO of Vornado is Steve Roth, who is ironically enough not famous locally here in New York City for office towers, but a residential building called 220 Central Park South. When you think of Vornado, you think of an office giant, right? Commercial real estate. But I would argue their most successful project here and most well-renowned is 220 Central Park South. And he tapped the very famous architect Robert A.M. Stern, who is also on the Zeckendorf building at 15 Central Park West, which was also one of the best-selling buildings as, well, really pioneering Gary Burnett at his 157 to be able to do that, because that 15 Central Park West commanded insane numbers for sales. And you currently have former CEO of Goldman Sachs, Lloyd Blankfein, with a really nice apartment there. You had the former CEO of Citi, had a really nice apartment there that he sold, he flipped to a Russian oligarch. I believe he made over $25 million on that trade, which is not bad. And then very strategically placed, might I add, right here on Park Avenue, is this Ferrari showroom. So as all of the Wall Street bankers and hedge funders are getting their bonuses in about a month, they can do some window shopping at the Ferrari as they sit at their desk at Citadel. Very strategically placed right here on East 55th Street. You also have an Aston Martin showroom as well on the corner of 57th Street in Park, which is considered the start of New York City's Billionaires Row. This is a really good shot of the 425 Park that we were talking about. This is one of the most state-of-the-art, eco-friendly. You can really tell the ceiling heights are really, really tall. All amenities, there's restaurants in there. You know, that is where people are moving to. They're moving to the Class A office towers. And then a lot of the vacant Class B and Class C will most likely probably be repurposed if they can, maybe condo conversions, or as demolition costs come down, maybe they'll just be knocked down and in its way can build new product. And here we are at East 56th Street. You have the very famous auction house here, Phillips, in the retail space of Harry Mackelau's 432 Park. Now in 2019, Harry Mackelau used to have his face and his new wife plastered on the side of this building. It was kind of charming, funny to look at. But this is 432 Park. And right here used to sit the very famous Drake Hotel. Oh, and it looks like, look at this, it looks like one of the panes of glass broke right here at 432 Park. But here you can see the auction house, and then this is a public courtyard open 24/7, and then that'll be the main entrance to 432 Park Avenue. 432 Park has some really amazing amenities. It has a in-house restaurant only for residents, has a beautiful saltwater swimming pool. It's a very, very nice place. You can actually see the dining room if I point the camera a little bit north. It's right there. And the architect is Raphael Vinoli. who unfortunately passed away, but he is an incredible, incredible architect. And that building to the right is the Four Seasons Hotel, which just opened. Yet again, open for business after it was unfortunately closed due to the pandemic. Now, some other news about the Four Seasons Hotel on Billionaires Row is they've decided to condominiumize some of the lower floors. So if you like the Four Seasons and you want to buy a pied-à-terre on Billionaires Row, you're absolutely able to do so. However, I would caution that the views may not be the best for what you get in terms of the price per square foot that they're probably going to command on Billionaires Row. But if you enjoyed this walking tour up Park Avenue, looking at 270 Park and ending at the lovely 432 Park Avenue, feel free to leave a like on the video. Click the subscribe button for more New York City walking tours. And if you're thinking about moving to New York City and purchasing an apartment, purchasing a home, please feel free to reach out to me at the email address below. And I would love to help you and your family find the perfect place right here in New York City. Thanks so much for joining.